Ken. Women in today's corporate world. Does a religious Jewish woman belong in the corporate business in today's generation? What type of businesses are kosher for religious women? That is a very serious question. And the reason why is because on one end, every family that's not living as part of the Doa De'ah, the generation of knowledge that gets man from Shamayim, has to make a living somehow. So everyone needs to make a living. Everyone needs to sustain themselves. And you have to go to work. Now, even if your husband is a tzaddik, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to make money as a result of it. He could be an avrech making, a few $100s a month, which means that the wife has to work. Or otherwise, if the lifestyle that you live is not enough for one income. You live in certain parts of the world, you live in New York, you live in different places, the rent is high, the mortgage is high, the food is high, everything is high, and your husband does not make enough money at his job to sustain just even the basics. So the wife needs to work. So first question is, should women work if there is no other choice? Yes. If there's no other choice, a woman needs to work. There's no problem with a woman working on the grand surface of things. Where do you guys see it on a regular basis? You see it on Shabbat. On Shabbat, you sing Eshet Chayil Mi'imtza. The song Shlomo Melech wrote about his own mother. Right? Eshet Chayil, but it's really about the Torah. Now, Eshet Chayil, what is she, Eshet Chayil? What is this woman of valor? It says she goes to the markets, she makes sales, she does things, she works. She makes a living. Her husband is learning, doing Torah and so on, and she also makes a living. So it says her husband is respected and known by all the elders, which means that her husband is a Talmid Chacham and she works. So can women work? Yes. We see from the Torah. The women do work. Do they have to work? Not necessarily. If the husband works and there's no need for the woman to work, then she shouldn't work. If there's enough money coming from the husband or some other way, there's no need whatsoever for the woman to work. And she shouldn't work. She should focus on raising her kids. But if there's no other choice, whether it's because the husband is not making enough or not making at all, then the woman has to work. Somebody has to work. Now, does that mean that she should just simply take any job? Obviously, everyone with common sense, no, the answer is no. Answer is no. What kind of jobs can they work? It has to be a kosher job. Meaning, first of all, it has to be an ethical business. You cannot go work in an unethical business, whether it be a bar, a nightclub, a cash advance business, a business that goes against God in one way or the other. It has to be, generally speaking, a kosher business. Meaning that a business that's not forbidden according to the Torah just by default. Even if you're not the CEO of it, even if you're simply a doorknob, in that job you're still not allowed. Why? The place is not kosher. You being a doorknob in it is going to be a problem. You cannot be involved in any way in a non-kosher business. So that's one. Has to be a kosher business by overall. Secondly, the environment, you should try the best you possibly can. The environment needs to be as kosher as possible. Meaning, if you're a woman, the less men, the better. The less men that you have to interact with. There could be 1,000 men. But the less men you have to interact with, the better. Why? Obvious reasons. Obvious reasons. Third, most important, you have to do everything possible to work with people that observe the Torah. And forbidden from working with people that are against the Torah. To the opposite of the Torah. Like, don't go work for some atheist, heretic, lefty liberal that hates God, and he's one of the people that's investing into one of these, anti-God organizations. You have to try to deal with people that are Yirei Shamayim. Now again, this is the latter part is really to be more stringent, but really the more stringent you are, the more you'll have blessing on your life. Now that makes your life more difficult though. Why? Because most jobs are not going to have people like this. Most jobs are not going to have a thing. But the point being is that you have to do your best. You have to do your best to pray to HaShem, to give you an appropriate job, to give you a job that has good quality people, both men and women, that are good quality, even the guys. Even the guys. Don't go work in a place that's unethical. Don't go work in a place that's immoral. Don't go work in a place that's immodest, and so on and so forth. Why? Because, again, we are not allowed, according to the Torah, we are not allowed to put ourselves in the way of a test. Where even though you're just the janitor, let's say, but you're the janitor at a club. You're the janitor at some stadium that has all types of tinofit, all types of filth there. You're just a janitor. Reality is, even though you're just a janitor, you'll be exposed to different tests that you wouldn't be had you worked for a UPS, had you worked for a, some other company that's a relatively neutral business. So you have to try to not only pick a kosher job, but also a kosher environment, not put yourself in a way of test. And if you're a woman, even more careful. Even more careful. Why? Because unfortunately women are a target for every man. Men don't care if you're married. Men don't care if you are wear a kisui rosh. They don't care if you have 5 kids at home. They care less. So that means that you also have to have a certain attitude which is business only. Business only, meaning, yes, you are allowed to work with other men that are your colleagues or whatever it is, that are co-workers in the company. It's not a problem. But it's business only. No minimal conversations, just chit-chat. Oh, how is your wife? None of that. Is the report ready? Thank you. Bye. Now, yeah, you can say, oh yeah, that's cold. Maybe it doesn't make a difference. Minimal. I'll tell you, I always tell you guys this, it's a sad reality that many times you see that in the religious world, unfortunately, there are horror stories where the spouses, the wives, the husbands cheat on the wives, wives cheat on the husbands. Who? With who? Co-workers. It's the number one most common thing. Women that are religious at times. And I know firsthand a few stories. More stories than I want to know. Firsthand. Women have kisui rosh on. Keep Shabbat, kosher, everything. Have kids at home. Cheat on their husbands for an extended period of time with a coworker. Why? Spend a lot of time friendly, too friendly, or worse yet, unfortunately, sometimes you have these monsters as bosses which make the women feel like they're nothing, and they tell, in essence, convince them or otherwise, which there was a story that was, became public knowledge in the last year or two of some monster in Eretz Yisrael who pretty much had his way with all of his female employees. One victim after another. And the reality is that these women, many times, they're coming from religious houses. They're naive. They're not familiar with the ways of the world in many cases. They don't know who, what, when, and how, and they fall. So that's why I also told you guys last week that it's very important for the women to be careful, the men to be careful, but also to be careful for each other. Check on each other. Jealousy between a marriage that's healthy is important. It's not only good, it's important to have jealousy between the husband and the wife. Why? You need to know where she is. She needs to know where you are. If you don't want your wife to know where you are, that's because you're a liar. That's because you're a cheater. No, but I haven't cheated. You haven't had the chance yet. But the only reason you don't want your wife to know where you are is because you're planning on cheating. Just give me the opportunity. Your wife should know where you are at all times. Why? I don't have any privacy? No. No privacy. Why? You got married. Same thing for the wife. Same thing. Your husband needs to know where you are. Why? He's your husband. He's your husband. Now people that, no, but I'm just going to go away with my friends, stay single. You want to keep going away with your friends, you want to go hang out with your friends, stay single. Don't get married. Why? Do us all a favor. We don't want any more additions to the divorce rate. The reality is most of these divorces, they start because of things people see at work. They see things at work, they befriend people at work, they spend a lot of time with people at work, and unfortunately people get too friendly. So yes, you are allowed to work. Yes, you should work sometimes. Again, like I told you, depending on the situation, but that does not mean you could just do anything you want. You have to be careful, just like anything else. You're allowed to eat, but not everything. You're allowed to enjoy, but not everything. You're allowed to look, but not at everything. Everything is allowed, but not everything. You understand? Just a kosher version of everything. And that's, in essence, applies to everything in the world. Hashem created the world, this beautiful world, with a lot of stuff in it. We are allowed to enjoy this world, but just the kosher parts of it. Kosher part. There's a kosher vacation. There's a kosher food. There's a kosher spouse. There's a kosher reading. Everything, there's a kosher version of it. Everything. Hashem is not creating the world for you not to enjoy it. You're supposed to enjoy this world. There's no problem. But with restraint, with limitation, with thought, and not simply on instinct like an animal. So when it comes to work, yes, a woman should, and a man should, if it's necessary for different reasons and so on, but again, with a lot of thought. And this is also why sometimes you have to consult with your rabbi, with Talmid Chacham, that knows what he's doing before you decide to take on certain jobs. If you have doubts, if you have questions, should I take this job, should I not take this job? I have a few students that have asked me. Sometimes I tell them to take the job, sometimes I tell them not to take the jobs for different reasons. For different reasons. It's not a mitzvah to be poor. It's not a mitzvah to be poor. You're allowed to be successful, you're allowed to work, you're allowed to be ambitious, but not at the cost of God. Not at the cost of heaven. So, if you're already going to work, be the best at it, do the best that you possibly can, but again, always have God in mind first. Next question.
B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, we're very excited to offer you the new Bezrat Hashem app 3.0. It's a newer, faster app, full of Torah, lots of Kedusha by the Shiurim that we do, myself, Rav Ephraim, Rav Chaim, where you'll have also newer features where you're able to use the app while you're using other applications on your phone. You'll be able to share the lectures directly from the app. You'll be able to donate online and support our Cube and our Torah work that we're doing. And the most exciting feature is that you'll be able to actually ask questions directly on the app and get answers from the rabbis directly from the app. This is something unprecedented, and Baruch Hashem will be able to offer it. Thank you again for all of your support. Check it out. Make sure you have the kosher Torah that will re-energize your neshama each and every single day. Call to B'chava Tzlacha.